gain some feeling. I think it's really interesting about how meditation can shape or change our brain. I think without this kind of scientific proof, probably people in West would not like to do meditation or mindfulness practice at all, because they may think that this is a waste of time to sit idly, right? So with this kind of scientific proof, so we see that this is a great impact in our life. It's like our brain is like the motherboard, right? Without this motherboard, nothing's functioning well. So that is so important. And last few century, people would not have this kind of information, but now it's so helpful. Let's see. Okay.
Researchers have known for decades that meditation can improve someone's physical and mental health. It can relieve stress, lower blood pressure, and lift someone's mood. But only in the last 10 years have neuroscientists taken a serious look at the changes in brain structure underlying some of meditation's benefits. Like everything else we do, meditation rewires our neural circuits, pruning away the least used connections and strengthening the ones we exercise most. Studies looking for signs of these changes usually focus on mindfulness meditation, which challenges people to keep their attention fixed on their thoughts and sensations in the present moment. Scientists acknowledge that many of these studies are small and not ideally designed, but at this point, researchers have gathered enough evidence to be confident that their findings are not just flukes. Experiments suggest that Buddhist monks have really robust connections between scattered regions of their brains, which allows for more synchronized communication. Expert meditators also seem to develop an especially wrinkly cortex, the brain's outer layer. We depend on the cortex for many of our most sophisticated mental abilities, like abstract thought and introspection. Several studies have confirmed that meditation can increase the volume and density of the hippocampus, a seahorse-shaped area of the brain in the middle of the skull that is absolutely crucial for memory. And although areas of the brain responsible for sustaining attention usually shrink as we age, meditation counteracts this decay. An increasing number of studies show that meditating for as little as 12 to 20 minutes a day for several weeks can sharpen the mind. In these studies, meditators have scored higher on tests of attention and working memory, which is the ability to temporarily store and manipulate information in one's mind. Some lifelong meditators in their 50s and 60s can even outperform 20-somethings on tests of visual attention. So if you're interested in trying meditation, you should probably start as soon as possible. For Scientific American's Instant Egghead, I'm Ferris J. Broom.
Okay, that's one. So this can prolong our memory, prolong our health too. So let me show you another one. Let's see, this one is, this one is BBC.
8 weeks of daily practice of something called mindfulness meditation had come to an end. The object was to see if it reduced stress, or in Fiona's case, chronic pain caused by the condition lupus. So, had it?
All I know is that if I do a meditation practice and I'm in a lot of pain, it's not that the pain goes away, it's that it becomes more manageable and it's sort of put in its place, it can be dealt with.
I, though, wanted to look a little deeper, and so we went to a neuroscientist.
Can you please keep your eyes closed and allow your mind to wander, okay?
Elena Antonova, the Institute of Psychiatry, wires us up in an MRI scanner. She asked us to let our minds wander normally, and then to meditate. The images are open to argument, but Elena says the results back up Fiona's experiences. On the left, you can see the area in the yellow circle, the response areas created by pain. On the right-hand side, they'd calm down.
So this sort of shows the, to my mind when I practice it, it's not that the pain goes, but I can almost take it down a few notches, and that's physically showing
It
that.
seems to be consistent with your
Oh,
experience.
wow. Gosh, that's amazing.
But what about me? When I meditated, an area at the front of my brain became less active, an area associated with self-centeredness, the ego.
The me bit has disappeared.
The me bit is definitely relaxed. Well, I probably wouldn't say completely disappeared, because just remember we're looking at the comparative state.
So, did you see this pattern in anyone else?
But definitely the activity have shifted to the posterior bit of the brain from the frontal lobe, and that's generally, the posterior activation are seen in Franciscan nuns, for example, or Tibetan monks during meditation.
A Franciscan nun. I wasn't expecting that. But Fiona's findings were worth further investigation. We sent them to an independent pain researcher at another university who said something had calmed the pain network.
And when Fiona says she feels less pain or is less troubled by the pain, this is backed up.
That's right, yes, I would say so. This is quite clear from her images.
I knew what it was doing, and I use it all the time, and it helps me with my pain. But there is something very powerful about knowing there is physical, objective proof that it's working.
Scientifically, just 2 scans doesn't prove much, but it does reflect a wider, growing body of research that suggests mindfulness meditation can help stress, pain, and even self-centeredness.
Okay, so nowadays you can type the connection between meditation and brain. It's all information online on YouTube. And you see that this is just not waste of times. I remember that back in the 90s, one of my Dharma friends, his monk, he came from Malaysia. So when he went to apply for US visa at the US embassy, and he told me that he met a lady, and somehow he said, "Well, I know you guys just did meditation and just do nothing." So at that time, it's back in the 90s, people would not recognize much about the benefit of meditation. So that's why people give that kind of comment. But now it's quite different. This is all kind of proof. And here, you see that before meditation, it's active, and after meditation, it's calm. Especially the area of the stress, anxiety, and so forth. And this is still true. And here, all kind of junk in our mind before meditation. And after that, it's just a few. And pain, rest and pain, and meditation and pain. Let's remember that lady, she mentioned that yes, the pain is still there, but if we don't pay attention on them, much less. And this is, probably this one is more clear. See here, stress, anxiety before and after. I just told you that without this kind of simple proof, no one would like to sit there quietly, right? But now it's just all kind of tools for people to recognize this one here. Change in delta and theta ratio in meditation here. This the activities here, and this everything's come down here. This is the friend here too. That's what they talk about. This baseline is here. That's what they talk about here. This is the head. You go this way here. I want to show you first, and after that we come back. Here, can you see us? It's too small. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Can you read that?
Yeah.
Here's band brain, right? Here's delta, theta, gamma, delta waves. Gamma not well understood. Okay. Alpha is space, dreamy state, and theta is subconscious. Here they say during successful meditation, the subject typically start off with high beta thinking. That's what we do today, every day. Then experience more alpha. Right, so it has that with high beta here. Right? A lot of external stimulus. Right? And next one is alpha, follow more theta and delta. So just calm down with this type of MRIs and so forth to recognize us. So again, it's just the information and this is the proof. It's up to you. If you want to calm the mind, that's great. And otherwise, it's not easy to handle the life, especially with our mind. So that's why I want to mention one more time. So plenty of information there, and most of the the people who work in the what we call neuroplasticity that we talk about, they recognize us. If you don't use, it's screen down. If you use, it's expanded. So it depends. So all kind of things. So now today I want to talk more about how could you recognize us? How could you feel that type of change in your mind, that type of change in your life? Otherwise, when you come here, we just learn the theory. This is may not much useful, may not much benefit. So we have learned about the mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of the four elements, mindfulness of the feeling, mindfulness of the universe of Dharma. So how can we apply this kind of mindfulness that's more applicable, it's more beneficial, especially for you guys, the student? So remember, when we start with meditation or mindfulness, we start with a fresh mind. Remember we talk about the child mind, right? That's been, if we have that kind of pure mind, fresh mind, it's easy for us to absorb things, right? Let me tell you one story before I move on. So there's one professor, he went to see a Zen master. Let me finish. What's the number again?
Number 10.
Sorry, this is cold. Number 10. Is that right?
Oh, you didn't mark mine, that's why.
Sorry, okay.
It's okay. Number 8.
You can see the number there? I can see number here. Which one? You number 8?
Yes, that one.
8?
Yes.
Number 5.
5. Your number?
Oh, number 10. Yeah, I think it's already marked.
Alright, so that's professor went to see a Zen master and asked about how to do meditation. So yes, the Zen master invited him to have a tea, to drink tea. So when he has a pot of tea, the master just pour that tea water into the cup, even when it spills out to the table. And the professor is like, it's spilling, why don't we stop? So his master says, so is your mind. If you come here with empty mind, with fresh mind, you learn more. If you come here with full mind, nothing can learn. You understand that? So again, like when you come to school, I know sometimes, let's say if you take 5 or 6 classes as medicine, sometimes you just study to survive, alright? Study to get a good GPA. Most of the time when you're done with this semester, it's happened to me when I was in college. I gone through this kind of experience. We just study to get a good grade, that's all. And after semester, we may forget probably 50 or 60% of whichever we learn. Even we feel good, we did good in the on the test and so forth. Still, we learn because of the grade. We learn because of the diploma. Make sense? We don't enjoy our learning. That's why sometimes it's like it's a burden to go to school. Is that right?
Yes.
Or we have to take this, we have to study that, and so forth. Why? Because this kind of hindrance, this kind of what they call, I'm full of expectation, full of hindrance, obstruction that I have to do. But if you say, oh wow, every day is a new day, right? When they go to math class or when they go to physics class, I learn more about life. That's after 4 years, 5 years, even 10 years from now, I may not have that chance to learn again. Make sense? With that kind of fresh mind, with that kind of openness, you learn more. You would not have any kind of boring. And you are with if you are in this classroom, physically and mentally. Make sense? But if you come to class physically and mentally, your mind wander around, and after 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, it's gone. And when you walk on the class, you could not remember much. So it's just a waste of time. That's why it's so important to live here and now. It's more precious. When we're done, today, we're going to get back. Past is past, and of course future is not coming. So that's why one thing I want to mention that, why we have stress, why we have anxiety, because we think too much about the past. Is that right? Because we think too much about the future, but we forget about present moment. We lost us. Is that right? Mm-hmm. That's why we stress out. That's why, what I'm supposed to do after my graduation, and which company will accept me, and so forth and so forth. Of course, we need to be prepared for our future, but at least to do something that we in our reach. But if we have so much expectation, remember, I should, I must, that's kill us. Right? Mm-hmm. Oh, good job there, that's all. So that's why let me go back to the full teacher or the explanation that Buddha want to lead us step by step. First, we need to might be mindful with the body. Okay. Mindfulness. First, with the body. Why? It's here. We can touch. We can smell. We can see. It's easy. Is that right? Mm-hmm. It's easy for us. And plus, in that, the breath, right? The breath, the 4 elements. So we can see. Of course, the breath, we can feel, but it's here, in our body. So that's why it's easy for us to approach to them, to recognize, because, sometimes during the day, I don't know, I have not watched the movie, what called, is that Walking Dead, is it right? Is that right? I haven't watched it, but I know the title. What it's about? Have you guys watched it yet?
I love Walking Dead.
What is that?
I love
It's just a lot of violence?
No, it's actually a pretty good storyline, dude.
What's about?
Basically, it starts off with the guy who just kind of like wakes up after being in like a coma.
Oh wow.
And then everybody is just like a zombie now.
It's like the end of the
Yeah,
world.
it's like the end of the world, basically.
Oh, okay. And again, look, from morning when we wake up until the time that we go to sleep, right? Somehow, some of us like that too. We just put the food in the body, let the body take care of the food, is that right? We just walk, we rush to the class, to the school, and so forth without us walking. And that's why we could not recognize what's going on with this body until, you know, probably when you go to the nursing home, right, you see many elderly people, they carry the oxygen box, right? Oxygen bottle, right? It's their life. But for us, we take it for granted. Make sense? So in Britain now, we could not recognize, we don't pay attention much. That's why. That's why when something happened to us, when we're sick, right, when we don't have that kind of ability anymore, the inhalation, exhalation anymore, it's too late. But still may be angry too. Make sense? So that's why the first step, the Buddha said, pay attention on your body. That we can feel, we can recognize, can touch, we can smell. And next one, the feeling. It's not easy. It's not easy to recognize our feeling. Right? Most of the time it's like, you know, the tip of the iceberg, right? This is like this one here. We could see some feeling like anger and so forth up above the water. But deep down here, we could not see them. Make sense? Why? Remember I told you the story why that young man killed himself and his wife. He said, deep down here, he puts all kind of layers of resentment. Yes?
So my question is like, how do you honestly like take the time to relieve that, like to uncover it? And
that's the point. That's why I want to talk to.
Okay.
That's the point. It's so important. Remember I told you? Yes, even me too. Sometimes I cannot handle my anger, but at least at home I tell myself that when I wake up in the morning, I would not remember those enemies, those things. So that's a habit we can build by ourselves mentally. And plus, this is all kind of approaches that we can handle with this type of feeling. So eventually we talk about that again. So the feeling is not there. We cannot see them in the forms. We can feel them, right? So one day that, let's say someone, I mean that the one we say that enemies, right? They say something, they did something. We mark 1, we mark 2, 3, so 1,000 until it's blow up. Make sense? So it's better. It's better. You see, remember, our mind is like a pond. When you pick up a rock and you throw to the pond, what happens? The rock go down to the bottom of the pond or the swimming pool, and when this touch to the bottom, you see the water bubble, big, right, big, and blow up here. So if we start from here, it won't blow up here. Make sense? Say, okay, whichever things that they say about us, okay, let's go, it's done. Is that right? But if someone say about us, but we keep up, and the next time we say this, plus and more until it's become an atomic bomb. Make sense? So that's why we have to see through this kind of conversation, that kind of comment and so forth. Make sense? So it's not easy, but you need to have that kind of mental training by meditation. Can be with the present moment. This is the present here. present here, and past here, future here. Sometimes I met some people that even they're Buddhists, like they're not cool. They could not let go of things much easy. So few years ago, I had a chance learn to New Mexico to teach people over there, with people. And this one lady, she raised her hands when we had the Q&A session. And she said that, you know, when we went back to Vietnam, I saw an abbot, the head monk at the temple. But I'm so angry about him, and I asked him, why? He said that, you know, when he left the temple, he treated everyone except me. That's happened 4 years ago. I'm still angry about him. We laughing, right? But sometimes it happens to us. Is that right?
Yes.
It's done for 4 years, 5 years ago. It's still carrying on. It's still clinging. His past is still clinging on present, and who suffer? Is that right? That's why if we let it go, that's done. And in the Zen tradition, this is a really funny story too, which is it's still a famous story. So there were two monks who went on the road. Somehow they end up at the river bank, and there's one young lady. She was drowning, and one monk, he jumped down and pour out of the water. And of course, she appreciates his help and so forth. So after that, these two monks walk on their path. And the other monks, he still wonder, you know, as a monk, you're not supposed to carry the woman. That's against the precept as a monk. So the monk who rescued that girl and said, you know, I put her at the bank of the river already, and you still carry her. Make sense? Attachment. Make sense? So that's why we have this kind of anxiety. That's why we have that kind of remorse. The thing that we have done in the past. Let's carry on. It's like, you know, every day imagine that you go out and pick up all rocks that on the way. All the rocks, big or small, you put in your backpack. Every day you pick up and carry to your house, and you store there. Make sense? Or even whenever you see beautiful rocks or nice rock, you put in your backpack. Every day it's heavy. Is that right? You can't let it go. Past is past. Make sense? So this happened to everyone, but it's even me too. So, but sometimes I have to let it go, so that my mind is more peaceful. So again, this is start with the body, the feeling, of course, with the mind too. With the mind, remember mindfulness of the mind. Later on, when you do meditation, when you develop that kind of skillful way of letting go in your mind, whichever thought pop up, like I told you, the moment that someone gives you whichever comment, you know, let it go, it's done. But most of the time, because of habitual patterns, we don't get let go until it's pop up to the surface, and we react right away. We yell at them, we scold it back, and so forth and so forth. That's why we have the problems. That's why when we hear them, when we meditate at home or wherever required, we let go of our thought. When it still pop up, we have that habitual pattern to happen. When we deal with other people, it's easy to let go. Make sense? So that's why here the body, the feeling, the mind, and you can say Dharma doesn't mean universal, whichever thing happens surrounding us. So that's why the Buddha do step by step, the simplest way. this one, the easy way for us to recognize is this easy for us to comprehend them and step by step there. So again, let me get this one. So that's why it's so important for us to have the what we call pay attention, a pure attention. When you go to the class, like I told you, with your openness, just let go of things out there. That's why, you know, at the Buddhist temple, people come, especially when you go to the what they call the manhole. It is not only the Buddhist tradition, but also to say that the Asian traditions that you're supposed to leave the shoes out the door. You know that, right? So it's just somehow it's like you let the older doors or the aversion so far out there, right? And I think I am now taking as personal. Personal. Did we talk about this? Yeah. Let's say I think we talked about that, right? Let's say if your supervisor, a manager at work, right? They yell at you when you have not done your job, right? Remember I told you about this. So they yell at you because you have not done the job the way that they expect you to do, not because of you. Make sense? If that's the case, you detach yourself from the jobs, so you would not be angry too much. Make sense? Yes, sir?
That's kind of what's happening with me.
Yes? So
Yeah.
how can you handle that?
Because basically, like, I've been working at that job for a year, and usually in, like, America, it's like after 6 months, you're supposed to get a raise. I've not gotten a raise, and I've only just been there for, like, a year and a half.
Okay.
And it's basically like, it's not like I'm doing anything like wrong. Like, I never had to be able, like, be told what to do because I was always on top of my job. And then on top of that, as a salesman, like, I do very well. And it just came to the instance where it's like, you know, I asked, and then it just came to a point where it's like, you know, if they're not going to give it to me, I'm just going to push myself away. But I don't know if it's like a bad or a thing or whatever.
Yeah. Actually, especially in Buddhist view, just try your best. Even someone take advantage of you, you have that virtue. You know, I have many people, they work hard, it's not simple, but they are cousins. So they work for a big company, and during normal times, they work hard. Two of them could work like 5 or even 10 people in the office. And when it's downtime, what happens? They lay up all the people, keep these two. So that's what we call the virtue. So keep trying our best, and they recognize us. They would not, of course, let you go if you don't work, if you work hard. Make sense? So that's why it's just sometimes, you know, we have to deal with that kind of situation, that kind of test to be patient. Yeah. So anyway, so again, this all kind of approaches for us to deal with things, don't take things as personal. And especially, remember I told you, start with the body, right? When we eat, we know that we are eating. When we work, that's where we know we are working. When we write in the newspaper, when you write, especially for your written response, right? And when you write your email to your professors, to your employers, remember what happened if you just make some grammatical errors. It's embarrassing, right? Alright, so that's why. Of course, when you talk with your friends, when you email to your friends, of course, you may be casual, but for some important people, right? Whoever may decide on your rate, on your salary and so forth. You have to be careful. But still, when you talk with your girlfriends, boyfriends, if they're really serious on that conversation, and if you don't show that kind of seriousness, you're done. So that's why it's so important that you make sure don't do like what we call Walking Dead, right? You know what we're supposed to do. That's not the whole idea about mindfulness. That's all. That's all. But still, it's not easy. So it's need time. It is time for us to practice until whichever thing we do, we be mindful. In the sense as that, sometimes we are so careful, but somehow we're so stressed out. You see the difference between being careful and stress-free, and being careful and you have so much stress. What's the difference? Yes, sir.
You tend to worry too much about the things you're being careful for. And it just causes yourself to have like a burden that is just like, it's a burden on top of a burden.
Yeah, can you give an example?
For example, let's say, like you don't want to fail a test or something like that. You're always, like, if you don't want to fail a test or something like that, and all you're doing is just studying and studying and studying and studying, and it's just like, you're so careful of not trying to fail, that you're just adding more onto your plate.
That's yeah, like when you take, that's a pretty good example, right? When you're taking the test, especially multiple choice, right? You're so nervous, you're so careful one by one, and so forth, and you stress out so much that sometimes after the test, your head may be blow out, right? So it depends. So that's why in mindfulness, you try your best and take it as much as you can, and let's go in. So that's why start with the bodies and the feeling. So that's why in riding, in walking, and eating and so forth, that's why we need that kind of mindfulness. And as a college student, right, when whichever thing you say on the internet, or you be accountable to, right? On your Snapchat, on your Facebook, you know, some professional or some students, they say something and they got caught and so forth. So be careful. That's why. And we're still, when we're mindful with this, that is more helpful but more beneficial with them, with us. And plus, on the top of that, remember we talk about the four limitless or boundless mind, being compassionate, right, loving kindness and so forth. With this kind of mind, we would not like to harm anyone. When we're mindful, but other people we're mindful, but they don't care much about other people. Alright, so that's why I want to review with you one more time about these things and how it benefits for your life, especially as a student and the rest of your life too. And when you're careful, when you're mindful, you'll be more successful, right? And again, that's a training that we need to have. Let me go back to talk about the jhana. That's what we're talking today. So like last time, I talked about the obstruction, right? The hindrance, the sleepiness, the what you call worriness, anger, and so forth, right? It just obstruct us, and especially this Saturday. So how many of you will come this Saturday? Okay, good then. You can make it. That's right. This is really early though. That's okay. This is still a good experience because you know when we sit, we know what we're sitting. Of course, now in the school, right? After the class, you rush to the other classes, right? Because there's a schedule. But when we go there, just take time to sit, take time to walk, take time to eat in a mindful way, right? And in the future, when you when you're done with all your studying, when you have your stable jobs, when you have your families, I think it's, when you look back, it's purely precious for your life to have this kind of knowledge, this kind of educations, because not many people have this kind of education or knowledge. It's not easy for me to get into here to give this kind of teaching too. So anyway, we want to reverse the pattern that we get enraged with all kind of things, and we miss here and there. We want to reverse the pattern. We want to do many things at times. That we get lost whichever happened to our physical body. I told you many times. It happened to me when I was young too. I didn't pay attention much about eating. I remember that when I was in college, at that time, in Penn State University, during lunchtime, I tried to grab anything that I could eat. That's all. But now it's affecting my stomach. It's for more than 20 years, or almost 30 years, it's affecting my stomach. I remember at that time I still layman, I still had meat, and sometimes I just bought it's like the steak, but somehow they boil the meat, that's all. And it's affected now. So that's why I told you, when you're still young, take times to take care of your body, take care of your mind. So when you get older, I think you can prolong your life, your mind, prolong your life. Otherwise, when you're sick, it's not easy to move around. So anyway, so let me go back to talk about this one, concentration, absorption. That's what we talk about today. Inside concentration, there's samatha, right? Inside there's vipassana. We know whichever thing we do. That's what we're going to practice this Saturday. And inside this, we'll talk about 4 jhana level. Of course, would not feel that yet, but still, again, this is a stepstone for you to recognize in the future. You could feel that, you could recognize us when you have that type of practice. Remember, some of you asked the question about when we reach that type of state of mind, nirvana state of mind, what do we do? Remember that? Remember that here? This is like, this is our emotion like the wavelength, right? Up, down, some up. Oh, we're so excited. Oh, we're so depressed. And what happened? It's flat out here. What in Buddhist view is stabilized. We stabilize our mind. It's everlasting bliss, everlasting happiness. Of course, some students, yes, most people, they look for some kind of excitement. Right? If nothing happens, it's boring. Of course, if not, you get move up and down with that type of emotional fluctuation. That's why when we do this kind of meditation, it helps us to stabilize this kind of emotion. And this everlasting bliss that only when we sit there, we could feel that. So that's why when we talk about the 4 jhana, you would not understand much, but again, this is education. Get the knowledge that may prepare for you. Who knows, in the future you may have times to sit there, especially after you finish up everything in school, and plus you have seen the benefit of meditation, how it changed your mind, how it changed your brain, how it sharpened your brain and so forth. Okay, again, Vipassana, we know that that's inside, that mindful of things that we are doing. Oh, okay. Mindfulness, body, feeling, mental state, mental object. Alright, let's just talk about the metta with the boundless mind that we need to spread to other people. And concentration, we know that a roadmap from the Buddha. Here, single-minded. Okay. So underrated inclusive awareness, or one is okay, absorb in attention, withdraw from also everything else. Okay. This is what they call single mind or concentration. Concentrated or absorbed. I think most of all of us have that type of experience, right? Sometimes you really enjoy whichever, the movie, the writing, how about drawing too? Is that right? Or music, you're so in tune, right? You're so in tune with that kind of music, that kind of drawing, that kind of writing. Or even when you talk with your girlfriends, boyfriends, you're so in tune that times went quickly. Is that right? That is called the concentration or profound absorption. This is every of us have that experience, but during the day we have all kind of distraction too. And that's a steady attention is stable, quite tranquility, single, concentrated, and here it's just like quite little verbal activities, little goal, directness. I still point with few waves. Okay, and now here, experience, all contents experience, correctness, minimal thought. It's related to this one, less effortful control, so relax body. Again, in the YouTube, it's all kind of information, all kind of talks that have been proven scientifically about when we relax our mind, somehow we have more, our immune system is more stronger, and we more alertness with all kind of things that happen to us. And yes, this is like what the Buddha say, that when we concentrate from sense separation and so forth, we abide with the fourth jhana. Let me skip this one here. How to bring pay attention, hold information, updating awareness, second simulation. You know what's mean dopamine? Dopamine is, you know what's mean?
Dopamine.
What's mean?
It's a happy drug.
Happy drug.
A happy drug. It's like released in your body.
I know, but that's in here. This is not related to drugs. It is related to.
It's like the
Awareness.
happy, the mental chemical in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
It release some chemical make us happy, right? It's not the drugs.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
But it's used as a drug.
They
use it as a drug.
How they use drugs?
Yeah, it's for anti-anxiety, depression. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's what, and they get to the awareness. That's what about this one here. Whole body awareness. Here is the center breath in one area. Center breath at the whole. Sense of the body as a whole. Breath in, send the experience of the whole, and so forth. Okay, let me, how about this? Let me stop here, because I want, again, in this class, we would need to feel that kind of bare awareness, right? That kind of sensation, that's here, okay? So, and on this Saturday, we will do more practice over there too. You hear this, the sound outdoor?
Yes.
Who used to go to library to study? Okay, most of you.
I can't study when it's quiet.
What's that?
I can't study when it's quiet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
Never quiet in there though.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
that
can't
too.
do.
There's like so many people walking back and in and out and in and out.
You mean that in library?
And like, yeah,
No, of
it's
course you
loud.
can go up to the other levels, right?
You can, but people eat and they talk. Like they'll go in groups like this and just eat. And
Actually, sometimes they borrow the keys to stay in the room too. You can borrow keys to for your own room, right?
But I think it has to be like a group of
Yeah,
like,
it's like a
No, only one.
Your study carrels on the 4th and 5th floor.
Yeah, they're hot though.
Very. They get really, really hot. The one person study girls, they get really hot up there.
Oh,
Well, in the summer
I live in
anyway.
confession booths.
They don't want you to stay long.
So I go there a lot whenever I have to do papers or
Yeah.
something, because I have 6 people in my house, and if I'm there, they're always gonna be like, hey Kat, can you do this? Hey mom. So I'll go there and study, and I'm like, so hot.
Okay, how about this? Okay, how about again, we do some short practice. Okay, so just relax yourself, just be aware of your breath. Okay, for a couple of minutes. Right? We said a couple of minutes. Just try to recognize your breath. Just let go of everything, so that we would not be bothered with the past and the present. Past and the future. Okay, we said for 2 minutes. Now it's up to you. If you want to count, that's okay. If you don't want to count, that's fine. Just follow your breath. Just enjoy. Remember, enjoy your breath. Right? Whichever thing come in, you recognize. The air come out, recognize it. So be aware of your breath. That's your source of life. Okay. Close door first. Keep the noise out. And so you can see now, like I told you, you can see, you can feel that you live with present moment with your breath, and whichever, of course, whichever thought that may come to disturb you, right? Like, oh, okay, you're concerned about the next class, your bill, whichever, you let them go and come back to your breath. And after this, you could feel that you can be free from them. Okay? So, let me press 2 minutes, okay? Either you can count or just follow. You can close your eye a little bit, it's up to you. So how you feel that? How you feel?
Sleepy.
Remember here the present moment, right? And the past try to attach us, right? All kind of life story, all kind of personal script, right? Try to attach you, and the future try to pull you away. Is that right? So that's why even in 1 minute, couple minutes, you could recognize us. And if you just focus, of course, start with the breath here. And even you can hear the background. Is that right? But if you just focus on your breath, it will not bother you too much. It takes time for us to create that habitual pattern, not to let them to touch us. In a neutral way, in a natural way, let's say, no, get out. You know, one thing is many people, they would not understand that. They try to block their mind out. Is that good?
No.
Why not?
You're basically like restricting your mind and you're kind of like forcing it to do something that it's not really supposed to do.
Yes.
You spend almost the whole time like trying to not think, and which causes you to think.
Yes. If you try to think, I don't want to think, that means you think more. Is that right? So don't get there. You know them. Yeah, like while you sit there, you hear this noise, right? Over there, outdoor, that's okay. Just don't pay attention, that's fine. Just go back to count the breath and follow the breath, that's all. And eventually, it will not bother you too much. And if you may think about future, you worry about what happened with my cars today and so forth, that's okay. Just remind your mind yourself, okay, I just want to finish my class here. Whichever, it's class or the next two, whichever thing I do, I can pay attention and be more successful. You see that? And you have more energy for yourself. Because if you let the past script, right, to pull you, to attach you, or the future script to pull you away, it's waste of your time, it's waste of your energy too. You see that? That's why it's so important. When you're done with this, even 1 minute, 2 minutes, even 5 minutes, is it like break times? You feel more refreshed. I don't know whether you have that kind of feeling yet. Yeah. How?
It just feels like it's like kind of more evened out. I can actually think a little bit better. Because like in my head, it's kind of like a video game. It's just like they would float into my mind and just kind of like just disappear.
Yeah.
So now it's just nice.
You feel that? How do you feel that? How do you feel that break?
It's for me, it's just I can control the thoughts because I have a lot of I have this like constant background barrage, which is what causes my anxiety. And I'm able to like kind of like okay, whatever, and just go on with what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's why it's just like we are controlled with our mind. If we're not mindful with the body, feeling, and mind, we get lost. Even remember that's why we could not sleep well at night. Even physically we so tired, but mentally it's racing. Is that right? Because why? We think we let this past and future bombarding us. That's why we lost the present moment. That's why it takes time. It takes time to practice. And actually, the book is say that 8 minutes a day for meditation is more than enough. If you really focus on 8 minutes, this is more. If you pay more attention about the quality of 8 minutes, I think this is more refreshment too. Right? When they talk about the nap during the day, when you go to work or when you go to school, do you take a nap? No, you should. Yeah, otherwise be exhausted late up in the evening, up in the afternoon, right? For me too. After lunch, most of the time, actually, most every day, I have to take at least 5 or 10 minutes nap.
I feel like the nap makes me more sleepier though.
Oh,
It depends
there's
on
a
how long.
reasoning behind that.
What's that?
Oh, the nap makes me more sleepier.
Sleeping?
It depends how long you nap. You
Yeah.
can't nap long enough to get into REM sleep. So they say 7 to 20 minutes
Yeah.
max.
20 minutes is the
Too long?
Yeah, like if you sleep more than 20 minutes, your body gets into REM sleep and you start a cycle of, and then when you wake up, you haven't completed your REM cycle, so you feel even more tired than you did before the nap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so 7 to 20 minutes.
So you either got to nap for an extended
Exactly.
period or a short period.
Like literally cat nap. Like,
Yeah, even that's just a short nap.
Yeah,
It gives you refresh your energy. Talking about the mindfulness, even me too. After lunch, I cannot function much. Before I taking a nap. And even sometimes I just try to not to take the naps, but later on, especially later in the late afternoon and evening, I could not see, I could not have the clarity as normal. So anyway, that's like the breaker. Mindfulness practice like a breaker, and we control ourselves. No one else. We have all kinds of script in our mind, so we could feel that. We could feel that energy, and when you have that kind of energy, again, in this what we call for jhana, they talk about the bliss, for the awareness, and I used to give the. Actually, at least my student, I fly a lot. I stay on airplane a lot. When they look down, when we look out of airplane, it's, when you're on the sky, on the sky, and you see the vast horizon. There's no limit. But here, when we walk in here, especially in this room, we have limited view. We block it. Our view was blocked by the room's door and so forth. But when we stand now, look up there. Of course, during if there's no cloud, we can see the blue sky. So there is the mind. If we have that type of what we call here bird views, is it right? A bird eyes view, our mind is more open. Makes sense? We just see things in one corner, we limit ourselves. That's why. Okay. Remember we talked about pleasant, unpleasant feeling, or neutral. Again, this happened. We just recognize and don't attach to them. One way to activate this is through relaxation. Engage no mind. What's mean? Release judgment. Remember? Later on, toward the end of the course, we talk about the modern mindfulness practice. They talk about what they call the seven attitudes that we need to have. As being non-judgmental. That's one of the attitudes. They of course utilize Buddhist principle to the acceptance and so forth, right? Yeah. So again, what happened when you go to the class to take a test? Would you need to make the judgment on the test? Would you need to do that? To analyze the test? Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. But if you understand the content, if you know the content of test, right? If you learn truly, so I think it's better for you to recognize. But the point is, what's wrong with the judgment? I want to touch briefly about this. What's wrong with the judgment? Remember? What's wrong? What do you think? With the judgment? Huh?
You said what's wrong with judgment?
What's wrong?
So the same lines of ill will, what we were talking about yesterday, or the other day of ill will.
We block ourselves, right? With the views beforehand.
Preconceived notion.
Preconceived notion, right? Even, like I told you, even when you go into the classroom and you think, oh, the test, oh, the question should be on my side. Is that right? And what happened when you sit down there, somehow the professor give you some kind of strange questions and you be frustrated. That's the point, non-judgmental there. But just come and take a test without having any things, what you call preconceived, right? Preconceived, so that's you might more free. That's what we talk about. Relax a sense of me, mind, and so forth. Observe, that's what we call jhana there. Here, that we call samadhi. Samadhi means concentration. And jhana is the levels of concentration. Of course, you would not feel now, but later on, when you have times, if you sit there for 1 hour or more, you could feel that kind of absorption, that kind of jhana. How about you? Have you had that kind of experience that you so absorbed with your writing, with your drawing, with your music, for more than an hour. What's about?
When I'm just like doing research, because I'm a research assistant in the lab, so I do a lot of research and coding. Like I could code for like 4 or 5 hours straight, and like just like get so absorbed into it that like nothing really happens because I enjoy it so much and it's very interesting.
How about others? Yes.
Well, for me, it's mainly when I'm doing like homework from class. Like if I know I gotta do homework back to back, it's like you start to get into like this groove of things where it's like I need to do this homework, it's complete. Let me move on to the next one. Let me do this one, and you just keep on going until it's like all finished. You know? And so when I do that, it's like I really don't notice the time until I'm like done everything.
How about your relationship then? Does that happen? Right?
Yeah.
When you in tune with your boyfriend's girlfriends, right? You will not pay attention much of the time.
Yes.
Yes.
Especially
All
when
right,
you're
so.
talking about it, like,
Yes.
yeah, we were talking on the phone and hours passed in like a blink of an eye. You're like, well,
It's when you started laying on your back, twirling your toes.
Okay.
Your legs hitting the curtains.
That's experience there. That's called mental absorption, right? When they were tense, but that's what that's everyone that must have that experience. But when we enter that kind of samadhi state of mind, it's more blissful. And that's why they say here, what do you call here, preparation for for jhana attainment, virtual morality, Jewish good friends. Again, you know, if we do something wrong, right, we cannot sit still. You understand them? That's what they talk about good friends. Choose meditation subject. Remember I told you, choose the neutral one, not the other poles, right? The angry pole or the attachment pole. Choose suitable children. And again, even during school time or during your working times, you can take 1 or 2 minutes break. Of course, when you close your eyes, there are people may not pay attention much, but it's still helpful. You know, most of the time, but not made all the time, but most of the time, you know, whenever I travel, I stay on the airplane, and when they get down to the airplane, I feel more refreshed because I focus my mind on resting. Not much with the meditation, but on resting. You know, nothing we can do. Just sit there, just follow the breath, and just relax. But many people, you know, when they sit in the airplane, they watch movies, they do something and so forth, and when they get out of the airplane, they be tired. So when you know that's the time for you to rest, just rest. Just take advantage on that times. Of course, while you're driving, you have to be patient. You have to be careful, right? That's your job, your responsibility for your life, for other people's lives too. But when you're there, nothing you can do. And that's a chance for you to relax. And even during the break time too, during lunchtime, whichever, just try to take a break, right? And that's what we talk about here. And here, this is all the thing that we learned before too. The preparation of the 40 meditation subject. As just for the 10 Kashina, that's elements, for elements, earth, water, fire, air, colors, like what we talked about before. And this, and the absorption on the first jhana, we'll talk about this later. For the abiding, and so this is the mind. Here the 5 jhana factors. I like to go over again for you to understand. First one, the applied thought. Applied thought just means you have the thought to focus on that subject. For example, on your breath, right? Substantial thought. You stay with that subject, with that object, substant there. You keep your mind with that. Rapture, it means you feel appreciation, you feel bliss, the bliss and what we call the happiness and one pointness. You could focus on that. That is what they call the first jhana. And only when you when you keep in tune with that subject all the times, what we call the fourth jhana, especially with the object. Then, when you are in tune with your girlfriends is called fourth jhana. What do you think? No, that's not the case. Why? It's form of, even you in tune with them, but even that's called a form of attachment. Why? Because what happens if something happened to them? You understand that? Maybe suffer, right? So that's why I told you that just focus on the neutral object. Of course, we have all kind of absorption before, but still, this is the part. Rapture, right? Feeling. Here they talk about it's related with the brain. Here, the intensify the panis. Does it feel pleased? Does it feel happy? Close the gate up to working memory. Intensify universes word. And awareness brand the mind. Both neurotransmitter promote the synaptic formation. Personal intensify natural opinions, and so anyway. So it helps us to have that type of good feeling about ourselves when you are in first state. And joy, we know that we started with that. We feel in contentment, happiness, and this relates to our neurology, stable dopamine, internal stimulation reduced. So that's what happens when we feel that kind of joy in our mind. And here's the map. Here's the map that talk about this first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, and fourth jhana, and so forth. First jhana, we have application. That means we think about that subject, and sustainment. That means we keep that subject on our mind most of the time, and we feel we have the kind of joy, happiness, wonderfulness. When you go to the second, you don't need to do that. You don't need to put any effort more, but just keep up with that object in your mind, and you feel the joy, happiness. About the third, it comes with you naturally. You don't need to use any force. So like when you pay attention on the breath, eventually it become a habit. You would not use the force. Like at first when you start driving, right? You have to tell you, oh, the stoplight, I have to press my pedals. But now, automatically, all right, if you've been driving for more than 10 years, is that right? Most of you, right? This has become your habitual patterns. Most of you have been driving for more than 10 years yet?
No.
Not yet?
No.
Oh, really? 5 years?
No.
Really?
3.
3?
Yeah, 5 years.
A year, 2 years.
So again, driving is part of your life now. Automatically, when you see the red light, stop. You don't need to tell yourself, oh, I need to stop. I need to press the gas pedals. So again, when you build up your habitual pattern, it becomes part of your life. And that's for happiness, wonderfulness, and so forth. Here, this one, absorption levels. You feel, the first one, you feel happy and good emotionally, complete absence of a stray thought. And first, there may be some discursive mental activities. Let me ask you, do you have that kind of experience before? That's not much for you to think about. That's not much. You're free of discursive thought. You have that kind of experience before? You're free of worriness. That's just how? How you
When I
feel
was
that?
on vacation.
On vacation?
I think I was just so relaxed and happy that no negative thoughts came.
Not now, right?
Now I'm stressed.
Too much,
I'm
right?
stressed right now.
So again, when you're free of that type of worriness, you feel that peace, you feel that joy. But still, doing this kind of lifestyle, right? When you go to school and even me too. Like remember I told you, if you enjoy this breath, if you focus on this breath, they would not bore you much. you protect yourself. Make sense? You have your energy there. You keep up with your energy there. You keep up with your awareness there. So when you enjoy more. For example, the next class, whichever class you go, just pay attention on that class and you learn more. Is that right? More beneficial. And the second one is the same. It's like the pool water. Water is constantly fresh, underground spring. And there's a level related to a bed of lotus growing in the waters, to the shock and saturated by water and so forth. Okay, and the mind is the mind is so powerful that you cannot be affected by any negative thought. So if you really focus, whichever happens, it's not the machine, but you would stand still. You would stable your mind. You would stabilize your mind. And this is what it's about. Apply attention to bear, substantial attention, stay with the target, actually enjoy that. Remember, whichever thing you do, with that kind of interest, right, you would pay attention more. If it's boring, you will not pay attention, right? So when you feel that kind of bliss, you will. This is like your motivation to practice more. Here I want to show you. This is from senses point of view, right? This is the first one, alpha theta state, that's normal, right? This jhana, the first one, no response to external input. That's the first jhana. And even they say that if you enter that state of mind, you would not feel the pulse on your hand. And the number two, the recent metabolism indicators, head rate, current output. Okay, and let me go back here. Cessation of the breath. It doesn't mean that you die. It's there. It's peace, but it's still subtle. Because the mind is so subtle. That's why the breath go along with your mind. Remember I told you the story that one monk, he entered samadhi for 100 years, right? Without eating, without drinking, and so forth. But he had that kind of life source, that's the breath, right? But when he got out, his body is too old to move function. And here, so that's what about. Remember when, whichever thing, remember, whenever we saw in tune with things, we don't feel hungry, is that right? We don't pay attention about the drink, we don't pay attention about the food. That's because we utilize our own energy here. Instead of wasting our energy with other things. Okay. Here we go over with that right here. That's just a charge here. The gender factors here. And abandon the 5 hindrances: greed, sensual desire, evils, sloth, restlessness, worry. Now, so this Saturday we talk about this restlessness and what you call the sleepiness. There's a 2 main obstructions that's happened to everyone, including me. Yeah, so either one. Sometimes when you sit there, you may fall asleep. If you sit there, you have so much things on your mind going on. So that's 2 main ones that obstruct us. But if you go beyond that, we could be concentrate well. Right? And that's just the first jhana. This is the second jhana. This is still good math here. Okay. Okay, here. You see, the first one, you put initial effort. When you focus your mind on the subject. And for the second one, is the peak of your effort. And eventually, you don't need to put more effort. It's just you stabilize your effort. And you have the kind of this. So again, depend upon how much we practice. But if you could try at home, okay? Have you tried at home by yourself? Yes. How long? Couple minutes? A few minutes?
I think I got to like 8 minutes.
That's good then. And you could feel that. You could feel that you control your mind. If you control your mind, you control your life. Right? Okay, so I see you on this Saturday then.
Yes. Is that a specific place for us to meet?
If it's helpful, you won't be able to
The
miss
room to meet there?
No, when you go there, we see people there. We go up. We have the two levels. The first level is common medium rooms, a whole, and we have the second level is just the way meditation. When you come, we there. Okay, so it's not hard for you to find, right? Yes, you can Google, you can have your GPS, right? Alright, so see you then.